Based on my own observations, I can say that over the past 30 years, life in North Korea has improved significantly, even for ordinary people. Of course, the baseline was very low, but things have definitely improved. People today have more options when it comes to consumption. That includes things like clothing, food, transportation. The country has modernized. Although it is important to note that Pyongyang is not typical of North Korea as a whole. Pyongyang is a level above the rest of the country in that respect. I've traveled across North Korea and seen that things have improved everywhere, but Pyongyang stands out because that's where the elite live. And of course the leadership needs the support of elites to maintain political stability.
There's been a survey of North Koreans who fled the country. It shows that they clearly prefer Kim Jong-un to his father.
Capturing the revival point.
Double kill!
Ri Chung-hee was said to be his favorite news presenter. A few days later, Kim Jong-un presided over the inauguration ceremony for a new residential district. The dictator himself gave Ri Chung-hee a key to her new luxurious residence. It was a reward for her loyalty to the regime. But as part of a wave of modernization, Ri Chung-hee was slated to be replaced by a younger colleague.
Kim Jong-un himself told me there was nothing more valuable than such a loyal worker who has been working in the media for 50 years.
북한에도 언론이 있죠. 미디어가 있고 다 있는데 이제 그 기능이 완전히 다른 거죠.
The press in North Korea serves a special purpose. Media professionals proudly call themselves the trumpeters of the revolution.
혁명을 보좌하고 그다음에 최고 지도자의
It's their job to support the revolution, burnish the image of the great leader, and mobilize the population.
스피커로서 기능을 해야 한다는 인식을 하고 있습니다.
지금부터 해양절 경축 청년 학생들에게 앞에를
Along with news programs, North Korean TV often broadcasts major propaganda.
They're supposed to make the population proud of the party and the regime. The message that they're trying to convey is that Kim Jong-un's North Korea is getting stronger and stronger. It's a powerful and well-controlled country that's continuing to develop.
통제되는 나라에서 살고 있다. 우리는 발전하고 있다.
Over time, dynasties lose their legitimacy. Memories of the past began to fade. The grandfather waged a war of liberation against the Japanese, which was the basis of his legitimacy. But 70, 80 years after the war, that legitimacy is fading. Kim Jong-un is under a lot of pressure to find a new basis for his power.
정통성 확보하는 소재를 찾는 것이 굉장히 힘들죠. 몸과 마음, 지혜와 열정을 아낌없이 바쳐온.
Despite the strict regime, North Korea's Iron Curtain has sprung a few leaks. Videos from South Korea are being smuggled into the country more and more often. Officially, North Korea can't receive any South Korean television content. But bootleg copies of South Korean TV series and K-pop videos are circulating widely. South Korean activists regularly send helium balloons across the border. Along with pamphlets, the balloons sometimes carry USB sticks with Western entertainment.
Of course, most North Koreans know that South Korea is richer. Most of them have seen a TV series in the South. But what can they do? Any resistance is punishable by death. So they prefer to remain silent.
To maintain its self-image, North Korea has walled itself off from foreign influence. The population is almost entirely sealed off from the outside world. They're not permitted to travel or use the internet.
처음에 북한에 핸드폰이 들어왔을 때 원래는 그게
Right after mobile phones were introduced, it was possible to use a foreign network rather than a North Korean one.
망을 쓸 때는
On that network, people could download South Korean videos or American films onto their cell phones. From one day to the next, the authorities realized what was happening, and they created their own closed internet system.
핸드폰에다 북한 책에 북한 인터넷을 확 켜버린 거예요.
Kim Jong-il knew his way around computers and knew it was the technology of the future. He understood that computer and communication technology could spell the collapse of his regime. So he isolated the country from the international community and banned the internet in North Korea. And that's still true today.
Was den Vergleich mit Südkorea angeht, kann ich als...
When it comes to the comparison with South Korea, I have the vantage point of coming from the former East Germany. Until 1990, I lived in East Germany. We had television from the West, radio from the West on a daily basis, so we had a reference point to make comparisons. We had visitors from the West and got phone calls. The information that North Koreans have about South Korea is nothing like that. They might have watched a soap opera or heard a rumour, but they don't have that daily input. No, I think that even with better access to information, most North Koreans still have next to no idea what's actually happening in South Korea.
Vorstellung davon, was eigentlich in Südkorea passiert.
In fall 2020, the Kim regime passed the Reactionary Thought and Culture Denunciation Law. Violations of the law are punishable by public execution or internment in a labor camp. For the regime, the intensified repression was a success. The number of people who attempted to flee the country dwindled.
북한 노동신문을 지금 봐도 남한 관련 기사가
When you read North Korean newspapers, there's hardly any news about what's happening on the other side of the border. Page 6 of the Rodong Sinmun newspaper used to include news from South Korea. That ended in 2020. North Koreans regard their neighbors in the south as Koreans who are richer than they are. And that's why the North Korean authorities keep a tight rein on information about South Korea, to preserve North Korean identity.
이걸 떠오르게 되지 않겠습니까?
For the 26 million residents of North Korea, every aspect of life is strictly regulated. Even the children are indoctrinated. From the very start, they learn the stories about the great leaders and the power of the Kim dynasty.
아이 때부터 학교에 들어가서 모든 교육이
In preschool, children learn that the Kim family rules the country.
아이 때부터 받습니다. 그리고 아침 일과 생활은 북한은
Every morning, school children greet the portraits of Kim Jong-il and Kim Il-sung.
상상하는 것도 시작해요. 그래서 이
This kind of brainwashing is omnipresent, from early childhood until death.
요람에서부터 무덤으로 갈 때까지 전 기간에 계속 이루어지고 있고
All children between 6 and 15 are members of the Korean Children's Union, a political organization with ties to the Workers' Party. On important public days, third graders across the country take part in initiation ceremonies. Both boys and girls wear the red scarf of the young pioneers. They're greeted by none less than Kim Jong-un himself. For North Koreans, this is the most important day of their childhood. At 17, most North Korean boys voluntarily enlist in the military as a demonstration of their loyalty to the state. North Korean men generally serve for 8 years, the longest mandatory military service in the world. By the time they join the military, the young soldiers are usually and generally serve for 8 years, the longest mandatory military service in the world. By the time they join the military, the young soldiers are usually fully indoctrinated. They're fed a steady diet of propaganda videos to hone their will to fight.